Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 13th day of November, 2023. Well, I'm a little late getting started. We had to go to the VA clinic in the next town over and get my husband his COVID shot. So, get those ready there. So I'm just now getting started, so apologies for it being just a little bit late today. But we'll be back to normal after today, I guess, barring anything unforeseen. So I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope everything is going well for you so far this week. Let's go ahead and take the runes and get our significator runes out of the way here. We have All-Ys. All-Ys is the 15th rune of the Elder Futhark, so it's got a 6 numerology. I look at this and to me it looks like raising your arms in supplication to spirit. It means the elk. So these would be the antlers here, or the elk sedge, the grassy areas, the swampy areas where they get in there and they hide. You don't really see them in there. But All-Ys is about it's about protection. It's the bridge between physical and astral realms, or the link between spirit and form, higher consciousness, divinity. But I look at this as representing all 4 elements, with fire, air, and water up top and earth down below on the 4 different points. So it's all of the fire, air, and water coming in and focusing into form. And so that's that link between higher awareness, essentially, and the physical, your physical awareness, your ego awareness. So there could be something here today where you need to rely on that. Let's take a look, though, at the Geomancy runes. I'll throw down the 4 elemental ones. Yeah, put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. Yeah, okay, we have Carcer. So Carcer looks like a little bird cage. It's essentially self-imprisonment. It's being... I mean, it can mean the end of something, too. That's kind of out on the outer limit of it, though, in terms of its interpretation. But realistically, when I pull Carcer, it's telling me that I'm doing something that is self-restrictive. I'm getting in the way of myself. I'm being held to, or I'm holding myself to a particular set of beliefs or perceptions that may or may not be true, or at least may not apply in a particular situation. And it keeps me from getting out of the cage, essentially, that I'm putting myself in. So here, in conjunction with All-Ys, then it's literally the opposites of one another. One, you're relying on higher awareness, and one, you're relying on the reactive ego or reactive perceptions. Because generally speaking, when a perception happens, you're looking at something, you're forming a judgment about it, you're forming an opinion about it, and there's your belief. There's you're essentially defining things in a way that's based on your own limited awareness. And whereas what with All-Ys, it's saying access higher awareness, which has no limits whatsoever. And you can see the bigger picture with that. And so there could be a struggle today, and the cards will tell us more here, but there could be a struggle with how you see something today, and it's holding you back from being able to move forward, or to make a decision, or to feel comfortable about something. I mean, it could be anything, really. But what it's asking here with All-Ys is saying, well, let me help you. Let higher awareness, let soul help you. Basically transmute ego into something a little more manageable, and one that maybe is less judgmental, less perception based, and more truth and reality based. So higher awareness is the answer to the cage you put yourself in today. And so open the door. Fly free. So anyway, I've already done some shuffling, as I do to get ready for this, and I'm going to cut the deck. And I'm going to take 3 cards. We'll take more if we need them. But basically, we've got two from the major arcana and one from the minor. It's also from the court. We have Temperance, the Chariot, and the King of Swords. So I think that how I'm going to look at this here is in terms of authority. Now, and I'm going to look at this in terms of your own inner authority. The King of Swords is analytical. He's an older man, powerful, logical, clever. I mean, he's definitely the boss. There's no question about that. So there could be some kind of authority that you have today that you need to express to other people. Swords is the air element, so it's how we communicate with others. It's our intellect, it's reason, it's justice, it's fairness, it's deception, it's truth. And here with, I've said this before, I don't care for the kings. I don't care for the emperor. I feel like there's an underlying, I don't know, like they're going to do something. There's like they're holding something back and you don't know about it. And they're ready to do something that maybe you're not going to see coming. That's how I see them. And that could be my own personal bias. But here you have the sword is not, like with the Queen of Swords, that sword is straight up and down. Well, I can't do it very well. Straight up and down. Anyway, but now it's not so with the king. It's a little askew there, isn't it? That's what I mean. Little too devoted to the self. Here you see butterflies and crescent moons on the drape behind him. He's wearing his authority, the red robe here. You also see, let's see how many, you see some stars, I think. Are there stars on this? I can't tell. I've never been able to tell very well. No, I don't think so. And I don't think I can get this to come on. I need a new one of these. No, those are not stars. I'm not sure what they are. They're not even butterflies, which is kind of interesting. But in any event, you see the clouds are behind him. They're not. You see, if this were Odin, that might be Hugin and Munin flying above here. The ravens. We'll say they're ravens. But there's possibly a little bit of deception here, and he's got to learn to cut through that. He's got to analyze it in a way. The air element is about analysis and rationale and reason and looking at patterns and things like that. But here with the king, he's suggesting that you need, if something is happening today, you need to approach it with an analytical sense about you. You need to be logical. You need to maybe think outside the box a little bit, be a little clever about what you do, and how you might then. And this is where we're going to align with all ye's. We're going to have some higher awareness come in and actually help the king do this, because what the king does not want to do is to put himself in the little carcer birdcage, right, where he's trapped by his own perceptions, we'll say. And so we start out with Temperance here. Now that's card 14 of the major arcana, so you're looking at 5 numerology of protection, innovation, variety, freedom versus restriction. But here you have the angel with one foot in these, got some toes there in the water and some toes on the ground. And so trying to find some emotional grounding here. So there could be an emotional component to whatever's going on here with what you're going to be dealing with today. Here you have some balance. Basically, the angel is pouring water from one chalice to the other, balancing water with fire. Here you have the glyph for fire on the angel's gown there. You see energy radiating from the angel's head with golden hair, and then the angel has a headband with a sun disk in the center of it right there. You can see that. So there's fire and there's also water, but there's also earth. And there's also air, because we're talking about balance. We see a pathway going up between the water. I don't know whether it's from or to, so we'll say between the water and the 2 mountain peaks there in the distance. Anytime you see 2s, we're talking about balance. And here Temperance is about moderation and balance. And so it's, again, striking a balance between will and emotion. We see the sun rising. It's a new day coming on the scene. as well. And then we see the lovely yellow water irises there growing on the bank right next to the water's edge. I have water irises growing around my ponds, and they're just gorgeous. They're delicate. But what we're really talking about here then with the king and with your sense of authority to, even if it's just the inner authority you have to make your own decisions and make your own choices in life, right? Or it could be that you're in a supervisory position with people and you need to make a decision about something today that balances emotion with will. So you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. You don't want to be dominant or domineering about it all, but you want to find a way to do this with compassion and realism. You know, you can't enable things, in other words. Enabling to me is more the water element, you know, where you're not really handling the emotional side of something very well. It's uncomfortable, so you let it slide, and in doing so, you're really enabling it. And then we have another card of balance, knowing when to take the reins and when to, in other words, take charge and when to stand back. Here we have the king in the chariot. Lots of expressions of balance here. The 7 alone is an expression of balance. I'm going to do the overall numerology here in a minute. But I haven't done that yet. But here we have a card of balance, the number 7. And it's also about, you think the scales, I've said this a gazillion times, anything 7 related, you're letting things settle out and see so that you can understand, have a better understanding of what's happening. And so that's likely what this is going to represent. While you're trying to stay balanced, balancing will with emotion, with temperance here, while you're in a situation where you're going to have to make a decision here about what to do and take the authority to do that and express that to other people in all likelihood. You need to draw that from spirit so that you are not being imprisoned by your own perceptions that may not be the right thing, you know, the right basis on which to make a decision. It could be too subjective, in other words. And so you need to have something be a little bit more objective here, and the chariot is actually suggesting that. Lots of things of balance here. You see the 2 crescent moons on his shoulder, the slivers here. You have an implied one here, so you can think of that as the triple goddess energy, maiden, mother, and crone, finding that integrated balance. Here you have the 2 towers here, that anytime you see, again, 2s, like we saw here with the mountains over here, and the sun rising and between them and the path going toward them. You have the same thing here. You have some grounding here, like we saw here with the triangle on the angel's gown. Here we see the glyph, the cube here, the glyph for earth on the breastplate of the king. And so he needs to be grounded. He needs to know when to assert himself and when to stand back and just observe and let things kind of unfold the way they want to. Here you have the shadow side of self and spirit, you could say. You could say the receptive side. You could say the projective side, feminine, masculine. You see the... And I was always calling this a dreidel, but it's actually something else, and I can't now think what it is. But it's a Hindu, I believe it's a Hindu type of a expression of balance and healing. It's the blending of the masculine and feminine. I wish I could remember. I'll look it up, and so I'll put it here on the monitor so I don't forget. But it's actually, you're looking at a round disc with a hole in the middle, which is the feminine, and then you see the stick that goes through it. That's the masculine. But again, it's about healing the masculine and feminine within, because you see up here, you see the wings, and you see the sun here. All of this is about balance. You see the 2 wheels. Everything has come to a halt. You could say he's got some victory here. That might be an aspect of it. But at the same time, I really think the underlying essence of this is balance, about knowing when to assert yourself and when to sit back and observe and see what happens and not interfere with it. Here, everything is at rest. And so everybody's just sort of sitting there waiting, to see what's going to happen next. But he doesn't feel the need to express himself. He's just standing there. He's not really asserting himself to do anything. He's just standing there and observing, basically, with his scepter here and all of the stars above on the drape that drapes over the chariot there. And you see the very large star right there on his crown. But again, I think that what this is about, and I'm gonna do the let me clear that. Let's see now. All use was 15. All use was 15, so that's 6 plus, and we said 14, which is 5 plus. The king doesn't have one, plus 7. Oh, that's a divided sign. Here, I can't see here. Let me pull this. Let me pull my keyboard here so I can actually see what I'm doing. All right, so all use was 15, so that reduces to 6 plus. Oh, no, I was right. That was a plus. Temperance is 14, which is 5, plus 7. And then we're going to say equals. That's 18, and that reduces to 9. So there's a sense of endings and completion, spirituality, generosity. If we take the spirituality part of and maybe even the endings and completion aspect of the 9 and apply it to all ye's, there could be something here relating to all ye's where you're going to need to draw down spirit, draw down higher awareness to get yourself out of the reactive mode of Karser here, so that you can understand the situation in a way that's not, you're not overreacting to it. And especially if you're in a supervisory position with other people, that's going to be critical. How you come across is very important. What kind of a king you are is important. How you express your authority is important. And you want to be able to look at things, whatever the situation is, with objectivity and balance. You want to know when to assert yourself and when to step back and just let things unfold so you can observe a little bit more. Maybe you don't have enough information at the outset of something, but as things come to a close or you get more information, then you can make the right decision for either what you need to do personally, or if this applies to a supervisory position you have with other people, or some kind of leadership role you have where people are looking to you for guidance or an answer or some kind of boundaries or what have you. You have to do it in a way that is moderate, where you're moderating the fire element or the will within with the emotions of it all, because there's always going to be an emotional component to things, even when it's not a card of the water element, and it's not within the suit of cups or something. You can always find other elements within each card. Maybe not all of them, but you will find more than one there. And I just think that with the 2 major arcana cards being soul archetype cards, and I think that they align very well with Alyes, and it's suggesting that, again, instead of being reactive today, if you have to make a decision about something where you have to use your own authority to do that, or again, if you are a supervisor of some kind or in a leadership role with people, how you do that matters. And doing it from the standpoint of spirit versus from the standpoint of ego, you let go of whatever perceptions are holding you back and keeping you in a self-sabotaging mode with Karser, and you'll come out of it much better with people, I think, or just with yourself. You'll make the right decision, and it won't be governed by emotion. It won't be governed by too much will, trying to control everything, in other words. And again, even though it's the king, I would feel better if it was the Queen of Swords here, but I would be more certain of that. But because she's a take no prisoners kind of a person. She doesn't want to hear any nonsense. She doesn't want to hear any lies. And she demands that from people. The king, I don't know. I think he demands it, but I think he's maybe a little more caught up in his own thing and maybe his own authority. And uh, sometimes he gets a little bit, he's too analytical, where he's in the analysis paralysis thing, that can happen where you're over analyzing everything. I do that. And it's like, stop, just stop, step back, don't do that. You got to make a decision sometime, well, I'm a Libra, so I don't know. It's a challenge. But basically, I think that that's what this is saying. If you are in that kind of a situation today, you've got to let go of the perceptions that are making you go no, 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 when maybe there's room for yes, and or there is a way out of something. And it's like, I there's so many times people will say, oh well, I don't even know what to do, there's nothing we can do about any of it, when in fact there probably is. And that may be the kind of thing that you're dealing with too today, where it's like everyone is like a lot of naysayers around you, and maybe even you yourself, where it's like, I just don't even think there's anything we can do here. Well, there probably is. Just take a step back and look at things logically, think outside the box, and try not to assert yourself in a way that tries to control the situation, but gives the ultimate reason for why it should be the way it should be. Not just because you say so, but because there's actually reasons for it. And I think that in the long run, you're going to be miles ahead, especially if you are in a leadership role with other people and they're looking to you for guidance and for boundaries, because there's just a feeling of boundaries here about this, that maybe they've just gotten lost along the way, or maybe they need to be reestablished because maybe new people are in the mix or whatever, and they don't necessarily function well with the group. I mean, it could be something like that. But you have to be willing to kind of let it go a little bit and watch, and to see where it really, maybe it doesn't need to be something massive, some massive change that needs to happen, maybe just a little tweaking here and there. And again, it's stepping back and being able to see that. And that 7 numerology, of being able to step back and make sure you actually have to insert yourself. Sometimes situations resolve themselves, or maybe all you have to do is make a little comment and people kind of look, and it's not anything authoritative or anything. It's just, a little bit of wisdom, and all of a sudden people figure it out. It could be something like that. But it's something you access from higher awareness. It's not something that you access from the reactive ego, because too much of it, and you end up in the carcer energy again, where you're kind of trapped in perception, trapped in judgment. You're just trapped, period. And you can't really figure out what it is you need to do, because there's so many things that are influencing you at that moment, and it just feels like there's no way out of it. And that's another aspect of carcer. There's just no way out of it. Well, okay, maybe not, but probably there is. And so I think that's likely what's going on today. If it resonates for you, great. If it doesn't for a few days, that's okay too. Just remember that, if you are in a position where you have to make a decision and it's yours to make, or you are in a leadership role with other people and they're looking to you for that, you've got to do it in a level of balance, of knowing when to really assert yourself and when to let things settle out, and you refrain from it, because there's you may just insert yourself in a way that just causes more problems than it's worth. So I don't know. I mean, that's not a bad reading for today, for Monday. At least there's some direction to go with it, even if it's doing nothing, even if it's just sitting back and observing for a little while, till you're really sure of the dynamic that's really going on. Sometimes you let people alone, they'll figure it out, but again, if people are coming to you and saying, hey, we need help here, something's not right, ask a lot of questions, get a lot of information. That's what the King of Swords would do. Get a lot of as much information as you can. How does this person see it? How does that person see it? What do you see that is the problem? And then maybe observe, and then get together with people and say, okay, let's talk about this. And sometimes just in the talking about it with everybody, things get figured out, and you're not the one that has to be all heavy-handed about it, because it doesn't feel like that's what this is saying. not with so much moderation, with temperance and, you know, having the choice to know when you should insert yourself in something and when you shouldn't. So anyhow, I guess that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back at the normal time. I usually do these around, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we just had to go, and we weren't able to do that this morning. So Thursday, though, I'll be back to normal, and whatever that is. And also, the everything's up on the blog over at Stepping Aside at imsteppingaside.com. If you forget that web address, click on More below the video, and it'll open a window, and you'll see that right there. A bunch of other stuff is there too, but you'll see the website address. Go check it out. I'd love you to do that. I'd also love you to click subscribe here and like, if you would, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.